everyone, this is Marika and I welcome you all to this new session of Nursing Management with me. In our previous sessions, we have discussed very interesting topics which includes hospital, its objectives, the scope of the hospital, ward management and the management of the hospital. In this session today, we are going to discuss a very short and an interesting topic which is issues in hospital management. We have seen how important management and proper planning of the entire hospital management is. But there are certain issues that are faced in each and every hospital as an organization. Let us see in detail what are those. We have already understood by now that hospital management is not an easy task. We have understood that coordinating the entire process or managing the entire process of hospital, managing the jobs, managing the staff's duty hours, and managing absenteeism and other tasks is not easy. Therefore, it requires a skillful person to plan the entire management of the hospital. So the person who manages the hospital, the person who is in charge to manage the hospital must have proper skills and must be highly qualified. There are many issues that a hospital come across on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, as an organization where sick individuals are treated and also people with different health needs are treated in the hospitals. There can be various different types of problems that can be seen in the hospital, and some of the problems that are mainly faced in the hospitals are what we are going to discuss further. The very first issue in hospital management is not having a standard rules and regulation of the hospital management. For us to work in an organization, we should know about the rules and regulations of the organization, what is expected out of us as an employee in the organization. But in many of the hospitals, standardized rules and regulations are not present and the hospitals are not managed properly. That is the first issue that can be found in the management of hospital. The second problem that can be seen in hospital is lack of communication within the team members, among the health team members, and also among the interdisciplinary team members. Lack of communication is one of the major problems that is faced in hospital. Another problem that is seen commonly in hospital is lack of team spirit among the members working in the hospitals. We know that each and every members in the hospital work together in order to provide care to the patient, in order to make sure that the patient's well-being is achieved. In this case, we understand that all different medical professionals as well as non-medical professionals who are a support for the medical professionals are working together to achieve one single goal. But many of the times it is seen that there is a lack of team spirit among the team members of the different disciplines working towards the same goal. Another problem majorly found in the hospital setup is lack of cooperation and coordination within the hospital as well as in between the hospitals. So proper support and coordination is required among different hospitals to make sure that the transfer of the patient is easy, to make sure that the patient can be referred to other hospitals. But in many of the cases, it is seen that the support, the coordination, the cooperation among the different hospitals are not good. Another problem that is seen in many of the hospitals is lack of accreditation or lack of standardization. We are already aware that accreditation of the hospital or any organization, for a matter of fact, is one of the most important part for the organization. Similarly, like that, in hospital as well, accreditation is necessary, but many of the hospital functions without having a standardized accreditation, without having the approval from standardized accrediting agencies. Another problem seen in the hospital management is not having a proper medical license. So in hospitals, medical audits or nursing audits, which are the most important part of hospital as an organization, is not conducted on timely basis. This is also one of the problem in hospital management. Hospital does not have a proper license, or else even if they have the license, it is not renewed after a period of time. Not conducting medical or nursing audit is also one of the major problem. Another problem seen in the hospital is lack of skillful or trained staff. In in many of the hospitals, we see that the staffs are not properly trained. The staffs will not be skillful enough in order to provide any kind of care to the patient. As doctors and nurses, we must be very skillful, not just having theoretical knowledge, but must develop a proper skill in order to provide effective care to the patient. In many of the hospitals, we see that the staffs who are appointed are not skillful, they are not well trained, or the staffs who are trained are also not allocated at the right place. Another major problem seen in the hospital is large number of staffs who are untrained or inadequately trained are actually hired in the hospital in order to reduce the burden of salary. So it is obvious that an experienced staff, a person who is skillful, will demand a higher salary than a person who is inadequate or does not have a proper training. In order to decrease the burden of giving high salary, untrained or inadequately trained staffs are hired in the hospital. Another major problem seen in the hospital is poor quality of individualized care to the patient. Obviously, when the staffs that are hired are not properly trained, the care that has been provided to the patient will also be inadequate. Next problem that we see in hospital is shortage of hospital beds. So in many of the hospitals, we hear that there are only 100 numbers of bed or 300 beds. So shortage of beds in the hospital is also one of the major problems. And finally, the last problem seen in the hospital is lack of trained administrator. As we have been saying, as we have been discussing, that trained administrator are required in order to make sure that they are able to manage the entire organization properly, in order to make sure that they are able to run the organization smoothly. In many of the hospitals, the administrators that are hired are not properly trained, and therefore the administrator will not be able to plan a proper hospital management. These are some of the problems that are faced in the hospital. To conclude, today we have discussed a very short topic, which is issues in hospital management. I hope the class was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next session. Thank you and have a great day ahead.